Generally speaking, my first nightmare upon starting a new survival world is torches. Mining coal veins every time I want to spawn-proof an area quickly becomes a burden, and it's never long before I have to go further from my base than I'm comfortable with, just to find ores that haven't yet been mined. As with all problems of this nature, this is best solved with a farm of some sort, so we could use wither skeletons which drop coal upon death. Or we could not do that, because by the time you're ready to tear apart the nether fortress in the name of a mob farm, you probably aren't experiencing early game struggles anymore. This instead turns our heads towards charcoal, an item that is functionally identical to coal, bar villager trading and, well, crafting coal blocks, but is much easier to come by large quantities of in survival. Rather than mining hundreds of ores or killing dangerous mid-game mobs, just feed a log or wood block into a furnace to convert it into charcoal at a one-to-one exchange. The interesting part about this is a single charcoal smelts 8 items, and one log smelts into 1 charcoal. So why don't we just redirect a small amount of charcoal back into the furnace fuel slot, completely removing the need for an external industrial fuel system like a bamboo farm or a carpet duper? As you can see, this simplifies everything significantly. Unlike other designs, this separates the charcoal fuel and surplus chest, and doesn't use an ugly dropper elevator. The best part about this, it even works in Bedrock Edition. Since this is the first tutorial I'm making, I'll let you know what to expect. Rather than putting the material list on screen beforehand, I'll display it all throughout the building process, and update it when something is placed, allowing you to keep track of how many resources you need at any given moment, in case you need to come back later. Alright, let's get started. First, find an area to build your charcoal generator. It's a very small contraption, so you don't need a lot of space, nor does it rely on any biome-specific mechanics that would otherwise narrow down the possibilities when it comes to construction. That being said, I recommend building it in the spawn chunks, so that wherever you are in the overworld, it's always chugging away. Now that you have an area located, place a barrel. This will serve as the output storage, from which you can remove the surplus charcoal safely. Place a hopper pointing to this barrel, and a dropper on top of the barrel facing up. Place another hopper pointing into this dropper, with a furnace on top. To complete the layout, put a hopper into the side of this furnace above the dropper. This will be what resupplies the furnace with charcoal. Finally, place a hopper on top of the furnace. You can place a chest for the log input above this top hopper if you choose to, or you can leave it open if you would find it more convenient to drop the items into the top as you go by. Now it's time for the redstone. Place a block behind the dropper to give a signal to a comparator pointing out of it. This comparator should point into a block to power some dust, which carries a signal back over to the dropper using a repeater. To test this, put a junk item into the dropper. If you built it right, it should pass into the hopper above. Remove this item so you don't forget about it later. Take a comparator reading of the hopper above the dropper, and place a block in front of this comparator. Place a block next to the comparator underneath and put dust on top, and a redstone torch on the side, which should be active for as long as the hopper is empty. Finally, carry the signal over to the bottommost hopper with a short wire, like so. We're not quite done, because we need to initiate the smelting. This can take a while, so it's best to do this step quickly, so you can do something productive while you wait. You'll need to gather over a stack of logs, and put all of them into the furnace. My recommendation would be to use large pine trees, since they're the most efficient tree type in terms of sapling to log ratio, and you can easily get a stack with just a single tree, grown by 4 saplings arranged in a 2x2 square. Dark oak trees are a good candidate too, and feel free to use bone meal to accelerate the step, just make sure there are no blocks overhead that may be obstructing the growth of the tree. Once you've gathered around 80 logs, put all of them into the input chest. Now you'll need to get the furnace smelting with a single auxiliary fuel item. This needs to smelt at least 1 log, so why not use your old wooden pickaxe from when you started your survival world, or even one of the logs you mined earlier. Once the furnace has started smelting, it should take around 15 minutes to reach full charcoal capacity, which is just enough time to congratulate yourself for finishing this build, and anyone else you may be working with. Perhaps split the charcoal with your friend as a way to say thanks for spending this time with you. Once at full capacity, the furnace should have a constant supply of 64 charcoal, and the hopper pointing into it should contain 1 extra. Feel free to periodically check this to make sure you haven't made a mistake. When the charcoal supply dips below 64, this buffer item will move from the hopper into the furnace and empty it, which we detect with this comparator. Since hoppers take priority over removing items from containers above them before they pass items along, Simply locking this hopper guarantees that the next charcoal produced by the furnace will instead move to the dropper and back to the hopper again. This causes the bottom hopper to unlock, allowing the surplus charcoal to be moved into the storage underneath. As far as builds go, this is pretty simple, but it's worth mentioning that mistakes do happen, and it's okay. I highly encourage trying to fix it yourself first by watching back through the tutorial and making sure you didn't miss a comparator, for example. If that still doesn't work, feel free to leave a comment under this video highlighting the details of your issue. Myself or a community member may be able to help you out, but only if you ask. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you found this useful. I have plenty more interesting video ideas coming, so feel free to subscribe. As always, there's no pressure. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.